Hey guys, SK Antiques here, back again with another episode of Alarming Antiques. This episode is going to be different from many of the others you've seen because this is almost more of a channel update than an actual Alarming Antiques episode. We're going to go through all this fairly quick. This is all flea market finds and also model train show finds, and we'll get into that in a moment here. But first, we'll keep things traditional and we'll start looking at all the clocks we got. For I think it was $6. We got these two guys here. Both of these will be serviced. This one is really interesting. This is a Westclock Big Ben Magic Touch repeater. This is one of the Style 8s, and it looks to be one of the slightly earlier Style 8s with the Baby Ben movement inside. And I think in one of my previous episodes, I haven't gotten to it yet, but I have another one of these, a plain white one, a Magic Touch repeater just like this. Now, if you have no idea what a Magic Touch repeater is, we'll talk about that more, but the way this works is if you're familiar with the older Westclock, you'll know that the Big Bens, they ring for a bit, and then they stop ringing. Ring again, stop. Ring again, stop. These Style 8s never had that until this was designed. This has a separate alarm mechanism inside, and instead of turning the alarm on and off through the back here, there is a button on the bottom. Now, if how can I do this here? How can I demonstrate this? I don't think this one's running, so I can't get it to do the repeat, but take my word for it. This turns on and off, and it's a really unique system there. We'll definitely get into this and make a video on these. I think the VACC Vintage Alarm Clock Club has done a video on one of these Magic Touch repeaters because they were available in Scotland and subsequently the rest of the United Kingdom. I don't think they actually say that on the dial, but it's the same idea. All this back here is the same, so we'll talk about that more later. And as for this is an extraordinarily late electric clock. This has to be from the 1990s. It's completely plastic. We'll totally get into this. This might have a dial-light, although I doubt it. I call these motel specials. Telecron made these. Westclock made these. These are super, super, super late. These are, Toastmaster. Wait a minute. Toastmaster bought Ingram? What? Okay, that whole thing right there. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. Holy moly. Anyway, that's neither here nor there again. Yeah, these were the last gasp electric clocks before quartz or digital came in and just completely wiped this out entirely. This whole concept of electric clocks that, just your basic electric alarm clocks, nothing special here. Yeah, these were being made in the same era as digital clocks, of course, whether they be flip clocks or not. And yeah, there's really not too much to say on these. Some people like these and other people just kind of throw them in the trash. I've been seeing these around a lot, and I'd like to get a few of these just to see what their movements are like. I actually made a video on one of those in the past. It was a Westclock Model S with the Batman and Robin movie dial, which apparently no one has ever seen before, including myself. It was all plastic fantastic inside, and yeah, this is going to be probably the same story. So anyway, I find this kind of funny. We're gonna go in here. We're gonna make a video on that. It's gonna be all fun and games. Speaking of plastic fantastic, for I think I paid was it $4? We have a 1940s travel alarm here, missing all its knobs on the back here. We do have the key. Oh no, we have one knob. We have the time setting knob. Okay, good. I think I can find parts for this. The spring is broken, I believe, in this movement here. But I also believe I have like a massive... I think I had one of these movements in the past or something, and I took it apart and didn't know what to do with it. So, I don't know. I'll have to go through my parts stash and see if I can get this to run. This is probably from 1946, based on the leather case there. And as for this, we have a Style 9 Baby Ben here. Depending on when this video here is going to be released, you'll see some Style 9 content coming up. We've learned how to fix these. And this one, let's see, is this, yeah, there's nothing happening there. It's endlessly winding. I think the spring might have come unhooked, or it's broken or something. We'll figure that out. And we have a sticker here as well. Let's see here. Westclock Canada, division of Tally Industries Canada Incorporated, Peterborough, Ontario. Movement made in the USA. That's a really interesting statement. Movement made in USA. So the Peterborough branch plant of Westclock didn't make their own movements. I don't know when that started. Probably started with the Style 9s. I know with all the 8s, they're all made in Canada. But with the 9ers here, it looks like they're all American movements and Canadian cases. So it's basically just an assembly plant. They just got all the parts handy. I don't even know if the bell or anything was made in Canada. They may just ship parts over and they're just put together in Canada. I have really no idea. This is a Baby Ben Supreme, actually. That's what they call this, or that's what the catalog calls this. These came out in 1982, I think. And there's a gold version of this, and there's the silver version of this, and I have both now, the Baby Ben variant. And yeah, that'll probably be a video series where we work on both of them at the same time. Oh, there's a bit of a break from everything. We got a Vogue cigarette. Not Vogue cigarette, holy moly. Vogue tobacco tin. Other antiques like this totally appeal to me. If you didn't know that already, I think these are awesome. I don't know what that sticker means. I'm not going to speak on that. But yeah, there it is. That's cool. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's see. Manufactured by Imperial Tobacco Company of Canada, Limited, Montreal. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. That was, I think we paid $5 for that. There was a guy on the other side of the room who wanted $25 for that. Oh, yeah, this is all flea market finds there, so you never know what's going to happen, right? And here's something I was really excited to get a hold of. It's one of the Westclock Dialight Drowse clocks. If you don't know how this works, you have two snooze buttons here. You have a 5-minute snooze and a 10-minute snooze. This is something that came out in 1962. And this here is one of the later versions of this. Although I don't know how much later it is because you have a metal movement. If I had to guess, this is probably from 1966 or so. And there's also one of the original stickers is still hanging on back here. Which I can't believe that wasn't torn off or blown off at some point. But yeah, that'll get a series as well. This dial here is backlit. And this, honestly, is... this one and this one are in the same family, except this one's a heck of a lot more advanced and a lot nicer. But without these wooden blocks on the side, which are quite literally glued on, these aren't part of the whole clock is here. These are just decorative. That's all these are. They certainly add a lot to this, though. I like those wooden blocks. Yeah, these two are related. These two are part of the same Motel Special family. So, all kinds of content coming up on all that stuff there. Now, of course, as I kind of mentioned here, there's going to be a bit of a channel update, and you've probably already been noticing, but I've been posting videos on other types of content, and I've started this off with model railroading. Model railroading is something I've loved for years, and I'd love to make YouTube videos repairing old trains and whatnot, and doing stuff with the layout, and oh yeah, you've seen probably the first video on that. Yeah, more to come. And in that same tangent, this is all model train show stuff. So if you're not really interested in this, I understand, but I think it makes sense to just put all my content on one channel, because it all is sort of related. It's all kind of, fixing stuff, etc., etc. This is in the same realm as all that. So for love it or hate it, we have some Tyco Chattanooga choo-choos here. We got two of them. There's a second one in there missing its box. But yes, this one comes with the box. I cannot wait to run this. This looks like a blast. Some people love these. Some people hate them. These 1970s engines and rolling stock. They think they can be thought of as cheap, and they're kind of more toy-like, sort of, depending on what you're looking at. Some of it's less realistic than others. Yeah, a lot of these are modified on modern layouts to look more realistic, whether that be through weathering or metal wheels are put on, or, you know, these are oftentimes just scrap cars sitting around. I think these are cool as is. We're probably going to be modifying some of these because they're just so freaking common and you can very easily get a hold of these. But yeah, no, like a lot of these I like just the way they are. And the advertising on some of these is excellent. We've got some Bachmann. For some reason, this is in a Tyco box. We have some Bachmann F units here. Both of these are motorized. I've tested this one. It doesn't run. I think it might need new brushes in the motor because this thing was completely dead. As for this Baldwin diesel here, we actually have passenger cars to go with this. That's a 40s. In real life, that is a 40s diesel engine being upgraded in the 1960s, and we have, to go with that, we have 40s passenger cars that are upgraded to live in the 1960s. Excellent. Did not pay that, by the way. Oh yeah, no, we made it happen there. We have all kinds of goodies here. We got some Canadian Pacific cars here, 1940s again. That Pennsylvania Railroad car is going to get its name, or it's going to have the Canadian Pacific font, or the Canadian Pacific logo put on, because I don't run Pennsylvania stuff here, at least not in a passenger sense anyway. Yeah, we're going to change that. I'll make a video on that. And then we also have some Great Northern 1920s passenger cars, which are going to also have their names changed as well. These are just, I absolutely love these. These are gorgeous. This has to be some of the latest Roundhouse stuff that ever existed, I'd imagine. Yeah, no, this is excellent. All of this stuff, hopefully, soon will be lit. I will light these up, and I will make videos on lighting these up. Doing it through the cheapest means possible, and because of lighting up and all that, I need interiors for these cars. So I'm gonna have to get some people, etc., etc. And these also have no interiors as well. So we'll make it work somehow. Even if I have to put like curtains on all the windows or something, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure that all out. So, first look at the model trains. First look at new arrivals, I guess. That's what this is all about. And, of course, continuing within that same realm are much earlier model trains here. We've got some Marx O-scale stuff, which was at said model train show. I took my opportunity, and I got a whole bunch of this stuff in a way that actually makes sense for me to get it. I was never planning on collecting any of this, but these are so cool, and I'd love to work on these and run them, and just have them represented at different events that I attend. Yes, I will have my own table set up at different events here in the city, and we'll be running some of this stuff, if all goes to plan, done through my local museum, of course. Yes, we got this stuff because this was something that is cool, and it was all together. That starter set was the missing link of this whole thing, keeping me from getting into these older trains. Because, I mean, you get these things in bits and pieces. You never find starter sets in person. I'm sure if I go on eBay, I'm gonna find a gazillion of them. But in person, for $100, you know, this belonged to a collector that actually worked on these trains before me. He worked on these trains, and most of them are in really nice shape. And the vendor I bought this from has more of these. So, yeah, no, this was the opportunity to take for getting into this system. This was never something I was passionate about, but again, they look so cool, and yeah. I'm never gonna get into this the same way I'm into the HO stuff, but to have this and to run this These are just excellent. So we're going to be working on these as well. That guy over there runs. These two don't. I'm assuming it's all because of dirty track and dirty wheels. And we're going to be making videos on these as well. So apparently this guy here is Canadian Pacific, allegedly. I don't know, what does that badge say? I think this was based on one of the Royal Hudsons. Yeah, you can't really even read that. I can get as close as I want to that, but that's not, I don't know what that is. That tender, the nickel plate road tender is the one that I got with this. It's wrong, but I don't really care. It's whatever. The Commodore Vanderbilt has this. And, yeah, you can tell the age gap here. You can see what's newer and what isn't. So, yeah, we'll be getting into these, and we'll be making it all run, making it all work, and we'll see how it all happens. Isn't that so much fun? That needs a new light bulb, but like, look at those. Oh yeah. No, I can't wait to start my O-Gauge journey, however big or small that is. So yeah, guys, I'm not going to run anything in this video, but you get the picture. You get that the channel is expanding and that more things are going to be featured on it, including stuff like this. So that's this episode of Alarming Antiques. Had a blast at the flea market and a blast at the model train show, which was in an adjacent hall. Absolutely tons of fun. And yeah, this is the starting point for the 2026 onward content. Of course, clocks will be continuing as per usual, but there'll be other stuff like this being thrown in as well. So thank you guys for dropping by, and I have some trains to service, so I've got to go here myself.